Hey there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have a rather bizarre story developing here surrounding Nosferatu, the recent horror movie from Robert Eggers. It looks like PETA, the animal rights activist group, are planning on protesting a screening of the movie this Sunday because of rats. Yeah, you heard me right, because of rats. So, we're going to get into this Variety article. It's coming to us from one of the more reputable outlets. Obviously, Variety, one of the best outlets when it comes to movie news. So we're going to jump into this developing story and see what's going on here. Protesting a screening of a movie because they used rats, and it's just absolutely bizarre and weird, and it's kind of interesting at the same time. So let's jump in and break down these details here. So, like I said, this comes to us from Variety. PETA plans a protest of Nosferatu screening. Rats didn't cause the plague. So, if you've got enough time on your hands to sit around and protest a movie because of rats, then I think you need to be a bit more constructive and productive with your time. That's my take on it anyway. So, PETA plans to protest this Sunday's Academy screening of director Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. The animal rights organization plans to send a giant rat to Samuel Goldwyn Theatre to set the record straight about the 5,000 live rats Eggers used during one sequence in the film where rats descend on London, bringing the bubonic plague with them. Okay, so they're upset about the fact that Nosferatu, the movie, used 5,000 live rats during a sequence during the sequence in the film where rats descended on London, bringing the bubonic plague with them. So in a statement, PETA's director of animals in film and television, Laura Tomlinson, said, quote, "A human is no more likely to be harmed or killed by a rat in real life than by a vampire, and false portrayals of these animals as harbingers of death deny viewers the chance to see them as the intelligent, social, and affectionate individuals they are. The only pest moviegoers need to be concerned with are directors who subject animals to chaos and confusion on the film set, and PETA encourages everyone to see through these shameful stereotypes and give rats the respect they deserve." I mean, I get it from a point of view what they're trying to say, and I know that their heart is in the right place. They're just... I mean, come on, it's rats. They're using rats on a movie that, obviously, in a lot of old folklore when it comes to horror movies, a lot of rats are used, like it says here, a harbinger of death. Like rats, throughout the plague, they spread disease. They're looked at as dirty, filthy animals, something to be avoided in the Middle Ages. And there is a lot of kind of like horror movies and horror concepts where they use rats to sort of showcase that kind of image of death when it comes to plague, disease, infection, and stuff like that. And that imagery of the rats kind of overflowing and, kind of infecting people. It's a very powerful kind of visceral kind of image. And I would have thought if they're using rats in a movie, there would be people that are in charge of looking after these rats, making sure they're fed, watered, making sure they're correctly kind of housed during the movie process. And I'm sure there would have been people on set who would be in charge of the welfare of these animals, even though they are rats. And we don't look at rats and mice and stuff like that as particularly high on the ladder of kind of a lot of people caring about those kind of animals. And I'm sure, like I said, but I'm sure that the production would have taken measures to make sure that no harm came to these kind of rats during the filming. I don't know that for a fact. I wasn't there. I wasn't working on the movie. But I'm sure, as an educated guess, whenever animals are on set, whether they're big animals or small, there would be people that are in charge of the welfare of those animals while they're being loaned to the movie. I'm pretty sure that would be the case. But, they seem to be pretty upset. Not just the fact that these rats were used. They seem to be upset with the imagery that's being used for rats to spread the plague, where instead they're actually intelligent and nice animals. So, it seems that, I get what they're saying, but it's to show up and protest the movie. I mean, come on. They're rats. I mean, come on. The PETA rat will carry a sign that reads, "Rats have rights. We didn't cause the plague." Oh, my God. Rats have rights, we didn't cause the plague. Following one of the first public screenings of the film, Eggers discussed the scene in a conversation with Guillermo del Toro, saying, quote, "If there's rats in the foreground, they're real, and then they're thin out and become CGI rats in the background. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense, and they were well trained," he added. "I didn't know that rats are incontinent, so the smell is insane." Production designer Craig Lathrop told Variety of the scene. The rats, none of them were lost. We found all of them. They were all there. We built these plexiglass barriers so that the live rats would be in a controlled area, he said, adding that the production took care to ensure the rodents' safety. Yeah, like I said, there's always someone who's in charge of like welfare of animals on set. Whenever you have a movie, there's someone who, you know, make sure they're fed and they're watered and make sure they're housed and they're contained and there are no, you know, danger to actors and stuff like this. There's always people that are in charge of those kind of things. Quote, in the scene on the street, the horses are on one side of the plexiglass barrier and the rats are on the other side so that the rats wouldn't run underneath their feet and get squashed so nobody would get hurt. PETA points out that the rats form close bonds with their families and friends, enjoying playing and wrestling, and even giggle when tickled, and are less likely than dogs or cats to catch and transmit parasites and viruses. So they're really stuck on this idea that, you know, that rats are being portrayed as harbingers of death and that they spread disease and plague and all this kind of stuff. And they seem to not like the imagery that this movie is casting on rats. And it's kind of like, again, I mean, come on. If we're protesting rats, you need to do something better with your time, be more productive. You know, there's more urgent crises around the world that you could be protesting. There's people dying in war zones, being blown up and all this kind of stuff. I mean, you know, come on, like, pick your battles. I mean, it's rats. It's rats. I mean, come on. The film Eggers' reimagining of the 1922 silent German horror classic Nosferatu, depicting a gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman, played by Lily Rose Depp, and a terrifying vampire, Count Orlok, played by Bill Skarsgård, infatuated with her. Variety has reached out to Focus Feature for a comment. So that's kind of where we are. It's only a small article here, but I thought it'd be pretty interesting to dive into this. It's a very strange, bizarre story. I mean, I've never heard of someone protesting against a depiction of rats being used in a movie. So this is something new. This is something I haven't talked about before. And I would just love to know what you guys think about this. I read this yesterday when I found this article and I was thinking about doing a video on it. And I read it first and I was like, really? People protesting against rats? I guess their heart is in the right place, but I mean, it's like, come on, it's rats. It's on a movie. I mean, what are we really doing here? But I mean, if people want to dedicate their free time to protesting about rats, I mean, you know, we live in a free society. I mean, they're more than welcome to do that, I guess, as long as they do it in the right way and they protest within the law. I mean, they have their rights to do that if they want to. But I like, from an educated guess as a film fan, I would assume that someone would be on set making sure that the rats are okay, that they're safe and they're looked after and they're no harm to anybody else. And yeah, that's kind of where it is. But guys, jump into the comment section. Let me know what you think about this rather strange, bizarre story of PETA wanting to protest Nosferatu because of the depictions of rats spreading the plague or whatever. I'd love to hear your insights into this because it's kind of weird. So that's kind of where we are. As always, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button and become a subscriber if you haven't already, guys. It goes a long way to supporting the channel and the content. I'd really appreciate that, and I will see you in the next video.